Hello, people of the world, and welcome back on the Mary in Motion podcast. Today I'm joined by Yonas, a colleague and a friend that went on a 9-month bike adventure from Brussels to Singapore.
Hey, I'm Yonas. I'll be at the podcast today, and I'm really happy to be here. So I want to talk about one of my big trips. I really love to travel. I'm 24 now, and I'm always thinking about the next trip that I'm going to do. And the last one I did, which I came back in August from, was a 9-month bike trip, and I'm here to talk a little bit about it.
Thank you for coming here. So I would like to ask you, what first inspired you to go on such a big trip?
So I really like cycling trips. I've done a few of them before doing this big one. And what I like about them is really a slow way of traveling where you get to enjoy the views, you get to enjoy the culture, seeing and meeting new people, enjoying the food. And before going on this big trip, I did a few smaller ones where when I was 16 with my best friend, we took our shitty bikes and went up to Amsterdam and back. We are the worst bike ever. My brakes didn't work, my speed didn't work. I had to pull the cable to be able to brake. Then I had a backpack and my sleeping bag on my steering wheel, but we went to Amsterdam and back. Another time we were in West Germany, went around Belgium visiting breweries, and we always loved doing small trips like this. And after uni, we thought about doing a bigger one, so that's where the idea came up.
Okay, so you had previous experience?
Yeah, but on smaller trip, like 1 week, 2 weeks, not 9 months.
Yeah, for sure. And so when did you decide, oh, now I'm gonna do it? Like concretely, because you said after uni you thought you would do something, but when was it really concrete in your mind?
So in uni, I thought if I get a job, I'm gonna have to work for a few years at least, and without having a chance to get a big break. So I really thought right after uni would be a chance to do a big trip like this. And I thought about trip that I would like to do. I immediately thought about the cycling trip, and then thought about the possible destinations. Thought about Malaysia or Singapore, because theoretically, when you look at the map, you can go straight from one point to the other without having to take planes or boats. Then as you look at it, it gets more complicated, but that was the first inspiration. And I thought about doing that, and I looked more into it.
How much did you plan beforehand?
A small year would be about 10 months of planning before leaving.
And what do you mean by planning?
It takes a long time to plan, because you can plan for the gear. So buy the bike, buy all the gears you're gonna need, the clothes, the bags, the stove, the water filter, and gotta look into that. And all these gears is expensive, so I bought most of it on second hand, on online, on Vinted. So months and months of going every day on Vinted looking for the same thing, and at some point you find it. And this for a whole Excel sheet of gears that I had to look for before and doing research. So it takes months of research and then buying one by one. And then you gotta look into what the vaccines you're gonna do, what visa you need to do, the routes, then read other bikepackers' adventures and try to find the possible problems that you're gonna have to be able to prepare for that, be able to have the right gear and the right equipment and be already in your mind prepared for that. So that's a lot of preparation.
Yeah, okay. I thought that you just took a bike and then went there.
I met some people who did that, but while they're on their trip, they have bigger problems and they meet. It's not as fun.
Did you plan a route and then at the end it's not the one you did?
We did plan the countries, and then we didn't know the routes yet before starting, but we did know the countries that we were going to cycle across, so we could plan for the visas. And as Belgian, we have a big chance that most of the countries we don't need a visa for. We can, or when we need a visa, we can apply it for it online or at the border. The only visa that I had to do while I was in Belgium was for India, because I needed a 3-month visa with 2 entries. And for that, I needed to go to the embassy in Belgium. For the other ones, I just went online or at the border.
And did you plan the time you would stay in each country, or did you leave some place for the unexpected, or if you really liked the country, if you wanted to stay?
It depended, because I left in October and I knew I wanted to come back on the summer of the next year. And The limiting factor was the money, so I knew I had to come back at this time. And then for the other limiting factor was the visas. For some country I had a 1 month visa, so I knew I could stay 1 month. For India I had 3 months, so that's the time I stayed. And for each of the South Asian countries, most of the time I had a 1 month visa, so that's how much I stayed. And the only time where I had to go fast through the countries were in Europe. As we started in October, we were in autumn and winter through these countries. So a lot of rain, a lot of cold, and also snow. So we had to go really fast through Europe to be able to cross Turkey without too much snow and without negative temperatures. So we were cycled across whole of Europe in like 45 days. We were in Istanbul in 45 days, then crossed whole of Turkey and Georgia and Armenia quite fast, and then we took our time.
And so what kind of budget did you do?
So for the equipment, for the bicycle it would be around 1,500. For the gears, 2,500, and then for the whole year I'd say 4,000 for the whole year, which is okay, because I would pay for the food, and then I almost never paid for the housing or hotel or hostel, because I would be staying outside in my tent or in a temple or in a mosque or anywhere I could find. And yeah, for excursion like safaris, like renting motorcycles, so to go around, like go on tours, go on a cruise, something like this, but not much on accommodation, so it's quite okay.
Yeah, it's really budget friendly. And did you plan beforehand the exact amount you would have? Because you said you knew in August, like in summer, you wouldn't have money anymore.
Yeah, I had an idea of 10,000 for the whole thing, and I had a chance to have the parents at home that could lend me some money that I could pay back later. And I did work for the 2 years before starting, so I had money aside, so it was fine.
Yeah, okay, that's really cool, because it's not that expensive, I would say.
For the amount of distance that I did, it's not that expensive.
Yeah, because people pay maybe 2,000 already just for a plane ticket to go to Thailand or something. So yeah, okay. And even if you would have stayed in Belgium, if you paid rent or something for a year, I don't know how much it would be, but it's still a lot. Yeah,
that's the way I look at it now, because if I pay rent 500 euros here, for 500 euros I could be traveling for a month.
Yeah.
So that's one way to look at it. It's not that expensive to travel.
And how did you choose the bike?
So I had a bike that could go anywhere pretty much, and that would be reliable. The most important thing is that it's reliable. So when I'm in the middle of nowhere, it doesn't break, and if it breaks, I can repair it. So the frame is in iron, which can be welded if there is an issue. So if it breaks, I can be in the middle of Bulgaria and find somebody that can weld it. And other than that, it's a really reliable brand. It's a Kona, and a model that's made for cycling long distances. And on that, I added like my bags, and I did a really thought about setup where it would be aerodynamic and would drive less wind. And a lot of thinking went into this. It's buying, then selling again, then buying, then selling again, to have the right setup to start.
So did you try before going?
Yeah, I tried. My setup was done 1 or 2 months before, and yeah.
Did you carry a lot of stuff?
Yes, but only what I really needed. So I had my clothes, I had things to sleep, so tent, sleeping bag, mattress and liner under the sleeping bag. Little clothes, like I had 3 pair of underwear, 3 pairs of socks, 2 t-shirts, 1 pants, 1 short, and 1 sweater, 1 puffy jacket and 1 rain jacket, 2 pairs of shoes, 1 chair, and I had a foldable chair that was really nice, a stove, a filter, and things to repair, and that's it.
And did you sometimes miss to have the choice of your clothes?
No, that was not the thing I missed. The clothes were okay.
What did you miss?
Only when they were all wet. So, but that's something I really tried not to have.
So what did you miss the most?
The food from here, my bed. I really missed my bed, and the people from here.
Yeah, for sure. Were you always on the move? You were cycling every day? Or did you race?
Depends of the months. As I said earlier, in Europe, we're cycling almost every day. Or we would go 5 to 7 days cycling, then 1 or 2 day break. But when we were in Asia, like in India, I went 2 months without cycling and then cycled again. And for example, in Nepal, we cycled less because the roads are so bad and the elevation is really, really hard. So at some point, we took some bus because it was just too dangerous and too hard to cycle over there. But it depends. We could be going on a hike for 7 days, then cycle for a week. Then we went on 2 weeks Vipassana meditation retreat. So it depended of the countries. If we wanted to do something that was other than cycling, we'd do it and then cycle back again.
Was it sometimes annoying to have your bike with you? If you had to leave it somewhere, or
I'm glad the community of cycle traveler is really nice, and there is an app called Warm Shower when we can find people that can host us that are also cycling travelers, and most of the time they would be okay for us to leave our bikes there. So we'd leave our bikes in a city and then travel around, and we could come back 1 day or 2 days later. I left my bike for 2 months in somebody's balcony. I came back and it was still there.
yeah.
So I could find people which I could trust and leave my bike over there.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know it existed. What was the most memorable interaction you had with a local?
I would say it was in Turkey. Turkish people are so nice. We really saw that we left Bulgaria and came into Turkey, where would be in the middle of a village, a few people watching us, and they would come to us, give us fruits, give us tea. And it was on the first day coming to Turkey. It was like this every day. People would stop us and just give it what they had or give it biscuits. Or they were so nice and so happy to see us traveling in Turkey. At some point, we were in the mountains. We were in Istanbul like 5 days before. Going through the mountain, we knew it was going to be a hard day. So all afternoon, climbing, doing S's on the mountain. The roads were terrible. People, sometimes there would be villages and people didn't understand what we were doing there. At some point, we're up high and we watched the sun go down. We eat what we had. And we thought, we're still going to have to cycle a few hours and then we're going to put our tents and sleep. And we're eating, and some old Turkish grandpa stops with his car, starts yelling in Turkish, and we don't understand anything. So we pull up on Google Translate, and he said, "You cannot stay there. There are bears. I just saw a few bears on the road. You cannot stay there." We're like, "Okay, I guess we won't stay there." And he's like, "Come to my house. You're my guest. You're gonna sleep at my house." I'm like, "Okay, thank you." So we get back on the bike, and he keeps going up. And we have to go cycle so fast because he doesn't get that we're slower on our bikes. 20 minutes later, we're so tired because we had to follow his car, but we are at his place. And it's a small town, a small house that he built himself. Up high, he had sheep and he has his whole family. So we met his kids, we met his wife, and he had a stove where he would put wood to do the fire. He gave us hot water to wash ourselves, and then he cooked with onions. So he just cut onions and dipped it in the salt, and we were eating it before having the big meal. And then we had the vegetables from his garden and a real Turkish meal. And we ate. We slept in his living room for the night, and it was so nice. There were just people who were so nice over there, and just wanted for good.
It sounds so lovely.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part that you went through?
Crossing Europe was quite hard because the weather was so bad. It could be 7 to 10 days only raining. For example, we crossed whole of Bulgaria without seeing the sun, only rain. So when it rains every day, it really gets hard on the mood because everything is wet. Get out of the tent in the morning, it's wet. The shoes, it's wet. And I have 2 pairs of shoes, but I cannot wear the dry shoes or they won't be dry anymore. So I have to get in the morning and get the wet socks, wet shoes on, and get on the bike to cycle another 100 kilometers. And you just know that you gotta get through it. You're in the mountain doing S's all day, and it's so hard on the legs. So this was hard. Also, the mountains are just super hard. Even harder when it's raining.
Do you think it was also hard because it was the beginning?
Yeah. Also, the beginning, for example, in Germany, we had a lot of rain also, but our legs were not adapted yet because I cycled before, but I was not cycling 100 kilometers for 2 weeks straight. So that's something I wasn't doing. So at first it was harder, and as we went further, it was easier on the legs. But sometimes you're just down mentally, and it's not that easy because it's hard physically, but it's so hard mentally to do that every day and just have to get through so many things that because you get problems and you have to fix it in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Serbia, and just gotta find solutions.
Did you face any language barriers with people? I mean, as you said, you pull up Google Translate and then it's fine.
It fixes a lot of problems, but not always. As we were in some countries, it just didn't work. For example, in Vietnam or Laos was the worst. It never worked. In Laos, Google Translate never worked. Like, people looked at the phone, and either they didn't know how to read, or Google Translate wasn't working, because they were never getting what we were saying. So we had to find other solutions. We were doing a sign with our hands and showing pictures of our tents, showing pictures of us sleeping in the tent, and asking if we could sleep there just by doing sign language. And that's the only thing that works. Or we would look at cities' names and ask where is the city. Like, we'd say the city and then ask for direction, but without saying any words, because it wasn't working.
What was the most beautiful place you cycled through?
I really, really like the mountains. So for me, it would be either Nepal or Austria or Malaysia. Malaysia was really nice. There's a region in Malaysia that's really up high. It's called Cameron Island, where there are tea plantations. And it's at 1,500 meters. Not mountains, but it's still quite high. It's hard to get there because you go up and down and up and down, and at some point you get there. So it's a few hard days before getting there. But the views, the sunrise and sunset on the tea plantations that are all around you are really nice.
Were there any moments where you really wanted to give up?
There were moments where I thought, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? It sucks. It really sucks. But I never thought about giving up, and I knew that I wasn't going to give up. Because when you start a thing like this and you prepare for that much time and you say to that many people, hey, I'm going to do this, you cannot go home without having it done all the way. I really thought about, hey, what happens if I lose my bike? What happens if somebody steals my bike? And I already had a plan to hitchhike over there if I didn't have a bike. So I knew I had to get there. Either I got really hurt and I had to come back, or I was getting there.
Yeah, or even if you take a few rest days or something,
you
would just go.
That was never an issue to take a rest day, but we knew what the goal was, and we knew what we had to do, and that it needed to be done.
Yeah. Did you have any moment where you felt in danger?
Yeah, a few, and that's funny because most of the time it wasn't because of the people, it was more because of the animals. It just, for example, in my tent during the night, and I hear some boars around, and I just don't know what to do. In Thailand, I got bit by a dog while I was in a monastery, because I was sleeping in monasteries in Southeast Asia, and there are a lot of stray dogs. And I don't know why, but stray dogs get kind of crazy at night, and they keep following bicycles, and they're really not nice. So I got bitten by a dog over there. I had to go to the hospital where in a small town in Thailand where nobody spoke English, and again Google Translate and ask for rabies serums, but I worked it out. Another time I got rushed at by a big monkey, and I just screamed the loudest I could. It stopped and went back into the forest. But if it didn't stop, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have a leg. But so other than that, I think I was fine.
And never because of the people?
No, never because of the people. And I mean, sometimes you see that you shouldn't stay in some places, and that some places will look really sketchy. And also, we were talking about a lot with the locals to know where we could go, where we couldn't go. So we tried to do things the right way, and I think that's why it went well.
And were you ever scared of the landscape, of, for example, a sketchy road where you could fall, or during the rain or something?
Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention was that I almost died a lot because of the cars. Because in the Balkans, people drive like crazy. The roads, which are supposed to be like 50, 70, people drive 120 on it. They go right next to you. In India, like big trucks going right next to you. It's so, so scary. And I would have to stop on the side of the road, think about my life, think about what I'm doing there, and just think, I cannot do anything else. I have to do that because there are no other roads. So that's what I'm doing. And yeah, there are some places where in Malaysia, the police called a tow truck, and I got at the back of the tow truck to go through a tunnel because they told me it's not safe to go there. So they just called the tow truck and got me through the tunnel. And yeah, there are places where I'd go there, and 2 weeks later, look on the group chat and see that a bikepacker died there. So they're really scary places.
Yeah, okay. But you got lucky.
I got lucky, yeah, because it's quite dangerous. But about the places, there are some mountains and some falaises, I would say in French, that are quite dangerous, but I got through it.
Yeah, good. Good that you are here today to talk about it. What is the biggest thing you learned about yourself during this trip?
A lot of things that I learned about myself. One thing is that I can get through a lot, and if I really believe that I can do something, I can do it. And that's one thing that I wanted to prove myself. I learned about what I want to do in life. I really believe that spending time with people and going around the world is something I want to do in my life. So that's going to be the main thing I want to do. I want to get money on the side to be able to finance that, but that's the main thing I want to do. The way I interact with people, like I know that I have to have my own time and I have to spend time with people, but I can always be with people, or it just doesn't fit me. I know the kind of people I want to be around, and I know about my values and how I rank them, what's the most important thing to me. And I know to read people more, because you have a lot of time by yourself on the bike. So 8 hours alone, you get a lot of time to think, and you really get to think about what you want to do and what you are.
Okay, that's so interesting. And so, does it impact your daily life here back to the normal life now?
Yeah. I don't think I have any real problem now, because I saw what real problems are, and I don't have any of them. So I really think about things differently.
But how was it to come back to the normal life, I would say?
So you get the travel blues. Yes. I really thought about that everything sucked, because you get to so many different things every day. You discover things every day, eat new food, meet new people, see new landscape, and then you come back and you have to get a job, and you're seeing the same thing every day. So you get to find one thing that motivates you. And for me, it's going to be my future projects and future travels. And I got into new sports, met new people, and that's one thing that motivates me. But if you don't get this, you get quite into the travel blues, and you don't find the point to staying.
Yeah, I can relate. How did you come back? I didn't ask.
I came back from Singapore to the Netherlands. So I flew to Amsterdam. I stayed for a week in Amsterdam at a friend's house, and then I cycled from Amsterdam back to Brussels.
So you said you had a future trip planned.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about it, or is it a secret?
No, it's not a secret, but I want to do a world tour, but without planes. That would context of crossing the Atlantic on a sailboat, then going across South America. Could be cycling, could be in motorcycle, could be in van, in a car, I don't know yet. And then again, sailboat, going across Australia, New Zealand, then sailboat again, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, China, Central Asia, probably on a bike again, and then back to Europe.
And you skip Africa?
Yeah, for this trip I would skip Africa, I think. It would be for the next one, because doing that would take, the trip I just told you about would take 2 to 3 years, for I would need at least 1 more year for Africa. Yeah. So it's going to be for another time.
Okay, and you would go back to places where you have already been?
Some of them, yeah. Like for India, I've spent 2 months in India, but I've only seen a little part of it, and I want to go back. Nepal, the same. Vietnam, I'd like to do northwest of Vietnam, where I haven't been. And There are some places like the big cities I don't want to go back to, but more in the countryside and some really nice sites that I saw that I want to go back to.
And how did you document your trip?
I did a photo step and I did document on that, but I didn't document that much because I'm not a lot into taking pictures. So I was taking picture when I had a nice view, or I was doing a safari or something cool, and I was doing stories on my Instagram, but not that much compared to the amount of things that we saw.
Yeah. And did you write to remember what happened?
Wrote on the photo step, so I knew all the big things that happened. I have the nice anecdotes, I have the stories. Of course, I didn't write everything, or would have to write every day, but the principal things are the photo step. Okay,
good. So I know for me, I'm afraid to not remember things. So I know it's not the same for everyone also.
Mm-hmm. But what's nice also is that I travel with a friend, and sometimes we talk about something, and he talks about a certain story, and it comes back instantly, and then I know it again.
Yeah, true. You don't remember the same things.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing these. I feel like we only scratched the surface. And
for sure.
There is so much that we could talk about. And so that's why you will come back on the podcast, I hope.
I accept the invitation and I'll be back.
Because you have thousands of anecdotes that he already told me. So that would be cool.
I'll come back to tell him.
Thank you very much and see you in the next episode.
See you.